If you need to move your money quickly and securely or sell your assets without creating a tax liability, take a minute to watch this video. I'm going to share with you a technique that I used to leverage my Bitcoin holdings for a tax advantage strategy with my retirement accounts. So let's dive in to a strategy that saved me thousands of dollars and allowed me to make these transfers immediately. About 60 days ago, I was presented with an investment opportunity to invest in a private equity firm. I wanted to make the investment from my retirement account. However, there are restrictions in some asset management accounts that restrict the type of investments you're allowed to invest in. At that time, I didn't have a self-directed IRA set up, which would have made things a little easier, but it wouldn't have solved my tax situation or my time constraints. So under a time constraint, I took a distribution from my retirement account, which was a taxable event, and the asset manager withheld a percentage of my assets for the taxes. Once I received the distribution, I was able to invest in the private equity deal, but I still had the tax liability hanging over my head unless I replaced the money into the retirement account within a 60-day IRS window for retirement rollovers. Well, time went by, and all of a sudden, I was on the 60th day to make the rollover, and I needed to transfer the cash immediately. Now, if you've ever tried to transfer large sums of funds, of cash on the same day, it's nearly impossible. If you do an online transfer, there's a 3 to 5 day waiting period. Even if you do a wire and jump through all the hoops, it may not get processed until the next day. On top of that, I had assets to liquidate that I needed to deposit to my checking account, which would then be transferred to the IRA. As you can see, there were a lot of moving parts, and I had to be sure that I could liquidate my asset, transfer it to my checking account, and get it transferred to the retirement custodian all on the same day. Sound impossible? Under the traditional way of doing things, it's nearly impossible. However, what I'm going to share with you is a safe and easy way to transfer your assets while avoiding any tax liabilities. So here's a real life scenario that I just went through. First, I needed to fund my IRA by the end of the business day or face a tax liability of tens of thousands of dollars. Second challenge is that I needed to sell my highly appreciated assets, which was the Bitcoin, without creating a tax liability on the sale. Once the Bitcoin was liquidated, I needed to transfer the funds to my checking account within minutes, not days. Fourth challenge is that the funds in my checking account needed to be available for immediate withdrawal. And finally, the IRA custodian needed to be able to pull those funds from my retirement account on the same day. I was very stressed about this situation, but the solution worked out flawlessly, and there's a big weight lifted off my shoulders. And here's how it worked. Instead of liquidating my Bitcoin, I took out a loan against it. There are several companies on the market that allow you to borrow against your Bitcoin, but I recommend only using reputable exchange and do your homework about the loan terms. Taking a loan against my Bitcoin and using the cash to transfer in my bank account was the way that I avoided paying capital gains tax had I sold the Bitcoin instead. And the next step was to use the transfer option from the exchange to my bank account. There was a fee to do this, but the transfer was instantaneous, whereas traditional online transfer takes 3 to 5 days. As I explained earlier, I didn't have time to wait and I needed the transaction to happen immediately. The third step was to contact my broker that held my IRA and ask them to withdraw the funds from my personal checking account, which they were able to do immediately. So fortunately, after a couple of sleepless nights and trying to figure out how I was going to make all the dominoes fall in line, I found the solution using crypto assets and crypto technology. I saved myself thousands of dollars in taxes, and now that I've made the transfer, I can sell the collateral in my crypto account to pay off the loan balance and then repurchase the Bitcoin through the IBIT ETF to restock my Bitcoin holdings. My name is Mark Capoletti. I own a real estate and finance company that operates sales and mortgage traditionally while using technologies like blockchain and AI to help facilitate and increase efficiencies in the space. I'm not an investment advisor and I don't offer securities advice. However, I can recommend strategies that will make your life easier. I can facilitate your real estate transactions, including any needed financing, and save you thousands of dollars. Please feel free to call me at the number on your screen or book an appointment to speak with me at the link provided. I look forward to speaking with you.